Fulbright, MasterCard, Chivini, DAD in Germany, MES scholarship in Japan, and all. Finishing your PhD, you can also have it on your CV that you have taught these courses. It is competitive. You only show your study. You can't show that you have work experience. You don't have to work. You can stay in school. You can focus on your study. You enjoy good money, cool money without paying. It mostly comes from the university. An organization outside your university is paying you, paying the university, paying your tuition to the university, and giving you money. Graduate assistantship. You've targeted scholarships for several years and it is not working. You may want to seriously start to consider funding. In school money, which will require nobody to work, everybody is running after them. Everybody's running after the scholarships. Hello there, welcome to my channel. On this channel, I share contents relating to study abroad, funding opportunities, scholarships, application tips, essay writing tips, teaching, researching. Please stick around. If you also know somebody who can benefit from the content I share on this channel, kindly invite them to subscribe. On today's episode, I'm going to be discussing scholarships and funding opportunities and guiding you to decide what's best for you. Scholarship or funding, which one should you target for your study abroad dream? By the time you're done watching this video, you will have found the clarity you seek. So what is scholarship? By popular opinion and for the context of this video, you have a scholarship if an organization is sponsoring your education and you do not have to give anything in return. If an organization pays your tuition, covers your insurance, pays you stipend every month, and you only have to stay in school, stay in class, focus on your studies, enjoy easy money without giving anything in return, what you have is a scholarship. On the other hand, you have a funding opportunity. You have funding if you have to pay something in exchange for the money you are getting. Again, funding, just like scholarship, pays for your education. They may pay your tuition, cover your insurance, pay you stipend, but you always have to give something in return. So the difference between a scholarship and a funding opportunity is that scholarship asks for nothing in return, but funding asks for something in return. Which of these two should you target, and what are the pros and cons for each of them? If you win a scholarship for your grad school, study abroad grad school, you don't have to work. You can stay in school. You can focus on your study. You enjoy good money, cool money without paying. That is a pro. Now, the con is that when you finish your grad school, you can't show that you have work experience because you are not allowed. You even be penalized. You even penalized if you try to study while in school. So because you will even be penalized if you try to work while in school. So because you can't work while in school, at the end of your study, you only show your study. You can't show that you have work experience unless you have work experience before you start that degree. Unless you've worked for some years before you start this master's or this PhD. If you do not have any work experience before you start your master's or your PhD, that is, that you studied with a scholarship, then it's going to be a kind of deficit on your CV. It's not a problem. Don't get me wrong. It's not a problem. There are several ways by which you can compensate for a lack of work experience during your studies. I'm just saying that someone who didn't win a scholarship might have work experience that you don't have. So if you win a scholarship, congratulations. By all means, go for it. I'm just saying you won't have work experience during your studies simultaneously with your studies. Another con of scholarship is that it is competitive. Scholarships are very competitive. There are few scholarships out there that are prestigious, that everyone is eyeing, everyone is targeting, everybody wants to win Chivini. You've heard Chivini on LinkedIn. LinkedIn people will always prepare us with, oh, I can't keep calm, I've won Chivini. Or Fulbright. You want Fulbright. These are very prestigious scholarships. Fulbright, MasterCard, Chivini, DAD in Germany, MENS scholarship in Japan, and all. These scholarships are prestigious. And because they are prestigious, and because it's school money, which will require nobody to work, everybody is running after them. Everybody's running after the scholarships, such that they are so competitive to the point where you can check all the right boxes, you can do everything you need to do, you can have a competitive application and still not get in. So you can apply for Chivini this year, apply next year, apply the year after that, and still not get it. People can apply multiple times to these scholarships and not get in because they are competitive. Good thing attracts people. That is it. So if you've targeted scholarships for several years and it is not working, you may want to seriously start to consider funding. Let me now focus on funding. Funding, as I've said earlier, will require you to give something in return. And most times, that thing you have to give in return is your time. You will work for the tuition, for your tuition that they are paying, for the stipend you receive every month, for the insurance you are enjoying. You will work while studying. Funding opportunities may come in two major forms. Okay, let me say it this way. Funding opportunity as far as grad school is concerned is typically called graduate assistantship. Graduate assistantship, just as the name implies, you as a graduate student will be assisting the university, the departments, a professor in one capacity or the other. Graduate assistantship can come in two forms. It can come as teaching assistantship or as research assistantship. Is it making any sense? Funding is also called graduate assistantship. Funding as far as graduate education is concerned is called graduate assistantship because there are other funding opportunities. You may not come to grad school. You may not come to grad school and still win funds for one thing or the other. I'm talking about funding in grad school. So let me explain that again. Funding as far as grad school is concerned is called graduate assistantship. Now, graduate assistantship can be in two forms. It can be in form of teaching assistantship or research assistantship. Does it make any sense? If you get a teaching assistantship, you have to work with a professor in the class, helping them with grading or with announcements or any other role assigned to you by that professor as far as teaching undergraduate courses goes. You might even be an instructor of record, which means the professor doesn't go to class with you. You go to class, you teach, you do all the teaching. You teach the undergraduate students. You are their professor. They know you as their professor. The university recognizes you as the professor. But that course belongs to a professor that you are helping them to teach. Even if you get that type of opportunity because you have years of teaching experience, you are still regarded as a teaching assistant. I hope it is making sense. You may also get research assistantship, which means that you are going to be assisting a professor with their research. A professor may have an ongoing research or a chain of studies, a chain of academic investigations that you are assisting them with. These things are not cast in stone. This semester you may be teaching, you may be working as a teaching assistant. Next semester you may be working as a research assistant. And In some cases, you are even working both as a teaching assistant and as a research assistant simultaneously. As of the time of this video, that is what I'm doing. I am a teaching assistant and I'm a research assistant. As a teaching assistant, I'm an instructor of record. I am the one teaching. I am the professor that these undergraduate students know. The professor doesn't go to the class with me, and it's been like that for some time because I have years of teaching experience. I had taught for several years before I started this PhD. So the professors can trust the professor can trust me to be in charge of the class with minimal supervision from a distance, not going to the class with me. Okay, so that's as far as teaching goes. Researching, you'll be assisting the professor with their research. So whether you get teaching assistantship or research assistantship or both, or they are alternated. This semester you teach, next semester you research, or teaching is what you do throughout your PhD, or researching is what you do throughout PhD. The point is you are giving your time in exchange for the money that the university is giving you. Most funding opportunities, most graduate assistantship opportunities come from the university, unlike scholarships that typically come from external bodies. So if you're enjoying the scholarship, an organization, most of the time, an organization outside your university is paying you, paying the university, paying your tuition to the university, then giving you money. But if you have a funding opportunity, which is a graduate assistantship, it mostly comes from the university. One advantage of this is that it is less competitive than scholarships. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying funding opportunities, I'm not saying graduate assistantships are not competitive. They are competitive. They are not handed out like cookies. It is not everyone that gets into a PhD program in the same program, the same department. It is not everyone that gets funded. It's not everyone that gets this opportunity. Your credentials must demonstrate that you have what it takes to function properly in this capacity before they can say, okay, we hire you for this position, then we are going to be paying your stipend, paying your tuition. But relatively, these opportunities are easier to get because there are many opportunities like this. Many universities, many Western universities, many universities in the global north give opportunities for funding. Unlike scholarships that are limited to a few organizations. We know those organizations, right? These prestigious scholarships. We know the organizations that offer them. Chivini, MasterCard, Fulbright, DAAD, and all. There are just a handful of them. But because there are several universities and several departments that are giving funding opportunities are easier to get than scholarships. Another thing I would like to say is that funding opportunities, graduate assistantship or teaching assistantship, will give you work experience. So by the time you're finishing your PhD, you can also have it on your CV that you have taught these courses. On my CV now, I have about 3 courses that I've taught. A single course, I may teach it again and again. I taught it last semester, I'll teach it next semester, I'll teach it another semester. That's one course. Another course, I'll teach. Another course, I'll teach. So I have about 3 courses that are confidently displayed on my CV that I can say, I have this work experience. But someone who has a scholarship that they don't have to work, all they have to do is focus on their study, doesn't have that opportunity. They can't say they have work experience. When they finish their PhD, they finished. They can say, oh, I have this PhD, but they can't say I have this work experience. So if funding opportunity is what you have, graduate assistantship is what you have, or if that's what you want to go for because you couldn't find a scholarship, know that you are not losing anything. You are actually winning because you have work experience. It's going to give you work experience. That's the benefit. The disadvantage is that you have to juggle your teaching or researching responsibility with your studies. So you must possess time management skill so that you don't spend too much time on your teaching and your researching to the point where your own studies will get neglected. where you don't have time to do your assignment because you're teaching. At the same time, you don't want to spend too much time on your own work that you forget to do the work that you are getting paid for, the work that is paying your tuition. This teaching or researching is what is paying your tuition. So if you spend too much time on your own work and you forget your teaching and researching, you may get penalized, you may get queried, anything can happen. You may even lose the assistantship. I think it is okay for me to mention at this point that most universities will measure your performance, your academic performance, to decide whether you will retain your funding. So if you have teaching assistantship or you have research assistantship and you maintain a strong GPA, you can continue. But if your universities have threshold, if you drop below the threshold, you may also lose your teaching assistantship. I know it's a general saying that you really don't need to aim for A's if you are in a PhD. The grades don't really matter in a PhD program. I have a separate video for what a PhD program looks like, at least in my own experience. But what I would like to say at this point is that even if you think grades don't matter, know that if you want to keep your teaching assistantship, you want to keep your graduate assistantship, except you don't care. If you care about retaining your teaching assistantship and your graduate assistantship, you must aim for good grades, because that's what will keep your GPA up, your CGPA actually, your CGPA up. And if your CGPA drops below the threshold given by the university, I don't need to mention the specific threshold because my university threshold might not be yours. You have to, if your CGPA drops, you have to drop your graduate assistantship. So yeah, you have funding opportunity. This funding opportunity also comes with work experience, working while you study. And the disadvantage is that you don't have the luxury of time. You don't have extra time to play after study. You hardly even have enough time to study unless you manage your time very well and you prioritize and you cut down on other things taking your time. Right? That's the difference between a scholarship and a funding opportunity. To summarize everything I've said, a scholarship is a situation where an organization is sponsoring your education, giving you all the money you need, paying your school without you having to give anything in return. A funding opportunity is a situation where you are paying your time in return. And this funding opportunity is typically called graduate assistantship as far as grad school is concerned. And this graduate assistantship can be in form of teaching or researching. And the advantage is that you have work experience that you can put on your CV at the end of your program. You can say, I have this PhD, I also have this work experience. But for someone who has a scholarship, you can say, oh, I want the scholarship. You still be respected. Even if you don't have work experience, you still be respected because people know that it's not everyone that wins these opportunities. So if you've won it, they will respect you. And as I've said, there are several ways by which you can compensate for the absence of work experience on your CV. You might even have gotten some years of work experience before you won the scholarship. So that is a plus. And there are several other ways you can demonstrate your work experience if you won a scholarship. I hope this video has given you value. If you found any value in this video, kindly subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. If you know someone who will benefit from this video, please feel free to share. You have my permission to share to your network. Invite your friends, invite your relatives, invite your children, your siblings who are seeking admission abroad to follow this page. I don't know whether I mentioned it. But if I didn't, I'm saying it again. I'm not sure I mentioned it. But if I didn't, let me assume I didn't mention it. If I didn't mention it, let me say here that the United States is not the only country giving graduate assistantship. Yes, the United States is organized and systematic in the way they do it. But graduate assistantships are available in other countries too. They are available in other countries too. If you go to Europe, you find graduate assistantship. Netherlands, Germany, you'll find graduate assistant, you'll find in Canada. So they may not be as clearly spelled as in the US, but if for obvious reasons you are unable to come to the US, there are other countries where you can get this opportunity instead of waiting a lifetime for Chivini or for Fulbright or for MasterCard. That is it, guys. Thank you for the patience with which you have watched this video to the end. I'll see you in my next video. Keep being amazing.